Luke is a marketing agency veteran, angel investor, and co-founder of Adaptify. After analyzing hundreds of thousands of articles today, we'll reveal what actually makes content rank in 2025. So please give it up for Luke.
Awesome, thank you. Hey, good morning, everybody. I just want to get to know all of you a little bit before I dive into my talk. How many of you here today have created a piece of content that actually ranks on Google? Give me a little show of hands. Okay, oh, a lot of you. That's awesome. And any agency owners here? Agency employees? Okay, there's a few of you. You guys are my people. I'm actually a former agency owner myself. I grew my agency from 0 employees, just myself, and took it to a successful multi-million-dollar exit in 2022. And that journey is really what led me here today, to be with all of you. And what I want to talk about is creating content that ranks on Google, and how we've automated that with AI, and how this next venture of mine, Adaptify, has made that possible. But this isn't a sales pitch. They told me I couldn't do that. So instead, what I want to do is I want to open up our data vault, and I want to show you the lessons we've learned over the last 2 years, and the things that you can do, the simple things you can do to create content that ranks in 2025. So first, I want to show you the data we've gathered from creating and analyzing hundreds of thousands of articles. Next, I want to reveal the content process that we've used to outrank the average person by more than 6x. And finally, I'm going to give away our most powerful AI secrets. Well, about that title. So it was 100,000 articles. I guess that seemed a little bit more believable. But the truth is, we've analyzed more than 287,000 articles, created and analyzed. So for context, that's like writing one article every minute for 200 days straight. Only possible with AI, or I guess a lot of caffeine. So what you're probably wondering, out of these nearly 300,000 articles that we wrote with AI, how many of them ranked? Do any of you guys want to take a guess, like what percentage you think actually ranked out of these 300? Okay, just keep it in your head. I think the number's going to surprise you. I know it surprised me. So that's almost 1 in 3, 93,000 of our articles ranking on Google. And that is not just third-party SEMrush data. That is Google Search Console data, because with our platform, our clients connect Search Console. So this is real numbers. But we didn't want to stop there. We wanted to take it a step further, because I wanted to be able to share with you not just what takes an article, and makes it rank in the top 100, but what was the difference between the articles that ranked in the top 100 and the articles that made it into the top 2, 3 spot. And I think some of these ranking factors are going to really surprise you. They surprised me. Starting with this first one. All right, how many of you have seen the alligator coming into your Google Search Console? You've got impressions going up, clicks are going down. Hands? Anybody seeing that? Okay, everybody's seeing that. We were seeing that too, and it was actually really eating us alive, pun intended. So we wanted to solve for it. We wanted to figure out how we could fix this problem, still using 100% AI content. And what we found is it wasn't about creating more comprehensive, more detailed content. It was about creating content that was easier to extract. And when we did that, using kind of a flashcard method, and keep in mind we tried different things, we tested different things, but we found this flashcard method that was like answer the question the same way you would like a flashcard answer in like 40 to 60 words which made it much easier for AI overviews to extract. And yes, the content ranked higher, but what was most impressive was that it led to a 43% increase in click-through rate, which is obviously also going to help this content rank higher. Okay, this is probably my most expensive SEO lesson ever. Back when I was running my agency, I really wanted to rank for best Google Ads agency for obvious reasons. And so I created a service page, rewrote it 17 million times, added case studies, features, like you name it, spent thousands of dollars building backlinks. But no matter what I did, I couldn't get this page to rank. So I finally accepted that people didn't want to go to my service page. They wanted a comparison page, right? They wanted to decide for themselves which agency was best. They wanted a list. And when we created that content, a few months later, it ranked in the top few spots. So the takeaway here is that if you answer the searcher's intent and you're able to match that, everything else becomes a lot easier. And I know this is maybe old advice, but it matters more than ever in 2025 because now Google's AI reads and understands your content in a way that it never has before. All right, quick confession here. I know I said 100% AI content, but remember, our platform is used by nearly 1,000 different companies. And so some of these companies, they're going in and they're editing the content, they're adding to it, they're improving on it, which is awesome. That's what we want to see. But what we noticed is the companies that did that, they went in and improved the content, they added unique stories, they added data, pictures that only they had. Those pieces of content actually ranked a lot higher. And so of course, us being us, we're like, well, how do we replicate that only using AI? And what we found is if we could answer these 3 points, we could accomplish this using 100% AI written content. So add this to your process, whether you're doing it AI or manually, and you're going to rank a lot higher more often. Okay, anybody here familiar, remember Bill Slawski? Okay, so for those of you that don't know, I'll tell you a little bit about Bill Slawski. Bill Slawski spent 17 years of his life analyzing Google search patterns. And what he found, back in 2013, by the way, was that 20% of his articles mentioned entities. And he was on to something big, but he didn't get the chance to prove it until he had a client hire him, and the client wanted to rank for Baltimore Black history. And he rewrote the content 100 times, they built links, they did all sorts of things to try to get this page to work. The big thing he was doing was keyword density for Baltimore Black history. And keep in mind, back then that was a tactic that was pretty well accepted. But finally, he rethought his approach, and he decided to build it as a walkthrough, and he used real people, real places, real things. And just like that, it became the 6th most visited piece of content on their website. So, in 2025, this is everything, because AI overviews only pull from complete content. This is how we think of entities at Adaptify. So if you're writing a movie review, no one's going to believe it's real if it doesn't talk about the plot and the characters and the director, right? Okay. If you're writing about marathon training, you've got to talk about the shoes, the stretching, all the things you need to do, hydration, to prepare for a marathon. And that's why we no longer think of keyword density as a factor in writing content. Because as a human, which we're creating content for humans, we don't care about that. We care about getting the complete story. Okay, so early on in our content writer, our AI content writer days, we automatically included the author, a mention of the author, within the body of every blog article. And we did that because we believed it would help the articles rank. But we had some, to our surprise, we had some clients that kind of complained about that. And they're like, hey, don't feature the author, don't mention the author in the article. And so we're like, okay, we'll give you a toggle on, toggle off. A couple months later, we have these clients reaching out, hey, our content stopped ranking, what's going on? We're like, what, why is it not ranking? We'd go check every single time they had toggled it off, don't mention the author in our articles. So it turns out, if you want to rank content in 2025, you need to answer these 3 questions. Google and the reader need to know who wrote this piece of content, why should we, believe you or trust you, and, how do we know that you know what you're talking about? This is one of the templates that we use within our software that's helped us rank content 6 times higher than average. So steal this template, use it for yourself, and you guys are going to rank a lot higher. So, and by the way, this will be on Speaker Deck or whatever that website is, so you can grab that slide if you don't get it now. So if you're wondering, how do you implement all these different things I'm talking about right now into your process, that's exactly what I'm going to talk about next. All right, I'm going to start with a really quick story though. When I first started my agency, I didn't have a process for writing content, so I was winging it. Sometimes I'd write content that would rank, other times I would write content that didn't rank, which could be really frustrating when I spent months writing a 10,000 word article only to have it not rank. In fact, I remember this vividly. It's 2018, it's Super Bowl Sunday, everybody's watching the game, and I'm hunched over my laptop cranking out a blog article that didn't ever rank. Sucked. So at that time, that's when I realized I had to get really obsessed with creating a content process. And I read Atomic Habits by James Clear. And it dawned on me that habits and processes are kind of like habits for business. And I needed to develop those, and I need to follow one every single time if I wanted my content to rank consistently. So I'm going to share with you how we do this. I'm going to share our content process at Adaptify. Before I do, I just want to rub this in a little bit. The average person that's written content ranks about 5% of their content ever. Our content's ranking 32% of the time. So there's no way you get to that 6 times better than average without having a really good process. Keep that in mind. All right, this is the exact system that got our AI content to rank 6 times higher than average. It's 4 steps, it's nothing fancy. The order does matter. And over the next few slides, I'm going to break down each one of these steps and tell you a little bit more about how we think about it. Okay, so since we do our research with AI, keep in mind we can give it enormous requests. The problem was at first we were getting a lot of data back, but it was mostly garbage. So we had to really refine and rethink our process. And it turns out there's only like 3 things that like really moved the needle for us that we had to include in our AI-based research. And these are the 3 things. These are simple questions that led to drastically better results. All right, I want you guys to think about building a content outline. I'm sure most of you do build content outlines, I'm going to assume, as like a recipe. So first you want to drop in the answer, okay? Deliver immediate value, match the search intent, things like that. Next, you want to add in a little bit of proof that you're not full of shit. And after that, you're going to mix everything else in. This is kind of contrary to like the advice we would have given 10 years ago, where it was like, do your intro, add your main points, add supporting content, and then at the very end of the article, give your conclusion. Just kind of flipping that on its head, and we're doing the conclusion first, okay? It's kind of funny to me how many people are spending thousands of dollars to humanize AI content. There's a lot of tools out there. And I think it's really time that we start owning that we're all using AI and we're using it for what it's best at, okay? So AI is really, really good at analyzing 50 competitor articles to find out which one of those articles, is gonna have the content you need and the information you need to build a better piece of content. AI is really good at analyzing complex data sets and building summaries. So use it to expand your ideas, expand your content, and use it to do all these things that it's really, really good at. And instead, spend your time doing what only you can do. Take pictures, build unique case studies, tell your own story. And instead of spending your time trying to humanize AI content, spend your time making your content impossible for other people to replicate. Only things you can do. All right. How many of you have like a review list or a checklist you go through before you publish a piece of content? Hands? I hope so. There's a lot of you out there. Okay. Okay, so you probably have some basic stuff. You're doing like a spelling check, a grammar check, meta tags. I think those are table stakes. We got to start asking better questions. And this is how we think about it at Adaptify. We're asking questions like, does it just mention a best practice, or does it give a really specific piece of data like we analyzed 287,000 articles and 93,000 of them ranked? That's some strong stuff. Or when you're talking about, hey, yeah, this content expert says this, or are you saying Rand Fishkin 2004 with a link? That's way stronger, right? So start citing that, start linking to it. Make your content stronger and do this review with all of your content. Be intentional about it. AI content is bad. I've heard that a lot. And I think that Google pretty much said that it's not bad. Danny Sullivan, Google search liaison, was pretty clear about it. He's like, if you're creating content, whether you're writing it with 100 humans or 100 AI bots, but you're creating it purely with the intent to rank on a search engine, that's bad. But AI content is not bad. And we have first-party data that I believe proves that today, because we're outranking human writers by more than 6x. So AI content is not the problem. And I want to give you like a really quick story about this. Early on in the ChatGPT days, we're ranking like 50% of the time with really simple prompts. But then in 2024, Google rolled out some updates and we dropped down to like 30%. But then we rethought the way our content engine worked, and we made it based way more about like original content and using EAT and all these things that I've talked about today. And we bounced right back up, and we're like 40% of our content that's ranking today. AI content. Okay, I want to talk about our AI systems. These are the 3 layers that we've built all with AI. So all those things I just talked about, I'm going to give you the secrets of how you can automate this stuff with AI, and you can build more comprehensive outlines, do better research, and write better content. So when AI image generation got really good, I think everybody was pretty excited. You were like turning your dog into an anime dog and stuff. Maybe it was just me. Well, at Adaptify, we got really excited, and we were like, what can we do with this to enhance our content? So we took all that AI research, we took all that data, we plugged it back in, and we used it to generate infographics that were related to the content. And then we stamped it with the client's logo, all using AI from their website, and like pulling that, stamping it on there. And basically, this acted as like artificial proof of work, because it's really hard. Like Google people, they don't know this is AI generated. This is like really good info. And so yes, the content started ranking higher. But what was most impressive is that we had a 31% longer time on page, which all of you know is also a ranking factor. So I really encourage you to generate AI infographics, put them at the top of articles. You're going to rank higher for it. All right. Right behind AI content is flat out bad. The next thing I hear is AI content just isn't that good. And that's why, we can't use it. And my advice is always the same. Using one AI tool is like using a hammer for every job around the house, okay? You got to start using a multi-model approach. So we tested this extensively, and the different models are kind of good at different things. ChatGPT is really good at research, really good at deep data analysis, and then Claude is like way better at writing, it has better tone, things like that. Gemini is obviously the strongest at image generation. So here's the thing that's really crazy, to us anyway. When you're doing a review of your content, and you're doing only human writers, do you just write it and publish it? Of course not. You have someone else in your office or on your team read your content first. And we're doing the same thing with AI. We're using one model to do the first draft. We're using another model to check that draft. So, Claude writes it, GPT checks it, and then Gemini checks it again. So we're doing not only using different eyes, from different models, but we're also making multiple passes. And this led to a drastic increase in the percentage of content that was ranking. All right, guys, this is the thought I want to leave you all with. I truly don't believe that it is human versus AI. I think that's the wrong battle to fight. I really think we're in a world where it is system versus system, or processes versus processes. And I think the teams with the best processes are going to eat everyone else's lunch. I want to know what you guys think. We have a booth here, Adaptify. You can add me on LinkedIn, scan this. I want to hear what you guys think, so please come talk to me.